Am I the asshole for playing a voice recording to prove to my friend her daughter isn't nonverbal? So I, 30 female, have a friend, 34 female, that has a nonverbal daughter, 3 female. Let's call her Allie. I watch her 4 days out of the week in my in-home daycare. I require contracts for every child and she never filled out the special needs section. And at no point when she asked me to take Allie did she mention any type of speech delay or non-speaking issue. Although Allie didn't speak much at first, I figured she was shy. She communicated her needs to me very well and said small things to me frequently. Last month I was in the bathroom. I keep the door barely cracked with a wedge so I can listen for any dangers and they can't walk in on me or see me. She walked by and said, "Ew, you stinky." I laughed and told her mom at pickup what she said and I was met with, "She isn't verbal, why would you mock her?" I reassured her that Allie has spoken to me quite a few times and I thought that it was a huge milestone from when she first arrived and was barely saying anything. She told me she didn't believe me and that it was messed up that I would make up something like that to upset her. I told her that I wasn't trying to upset her but I wasn't lying either. I didn't press the issue further. Here's where I might be the I decided to record Allie, a voice recording, not her face, telling me her name and what her favorite animal is. I had full intention of showing mom the recording, but I was scared at first because of her blow up at me and I didn't know how she would react. After a few short pickups and drop-offs she told me it was water under the bridge and that she didn't want to talk about it anymore. She even insisted that I went to the birthday party. After that I was just happy Allie could continue and I ended up forgetting I had the recording at all. Fast forward to Friday, about a month later, she had a birthday party for her other child. At the party I was socializing with other family members. Honestly, I'm a total dumbass for forgetting that her family fully thought that she was nonverbal. I mentioned the funny things Allie has said to me while we were reading an animal book. Turns out the person I was talking to was her sister and she started yelling at me saying, "She is nonverbal, why are you lying?" Both her and her sister start berating me saying that it's ked up that I'm making this up about Allie being verbal. At this point I'm tired of being called a liar. I have 2 disabled children whom my son was nonverbal for many years. I wouldn't lie about something like this. So while everybody was staring at me I was scared and felt backed into a corner. So I, remembering I had the recording, decided to prove my case and play the voice recording. Everybody was shocked and my friend told me to leave. I told her I didn't want to cause issues but I'm not going to be berated and called a liar. She said that I crossed the line recording her daughter and that I'm an a-hole for embarrassing her at the party. Now I feel horrible and wondering if I should have just let it go. Edit for clarification and extra context. Whenever she would pick up and drop off she wouldn't ask me much other than, "How was her nap? How much did she eat?" And I would hand her the daily report, then she would leave and not stay for small talk even when I would try to initiate. I know people have busy lives so I'm not gonna try to make them stay and talk to me about their life story. I also didn't do the recording to embarrass her in any way. I didn't mean any vindication by it. I can admit I should have shown her immediately after I recorded it but I'm also human and I was afraid of a second blow up. Then after her saying it was water under the bridge I was just happy that she wasn't gonna take Allie away so I put it in the back of my mind and forgot about it. I feel bad about how I went about my defense, hence the post. I know it was unprofessional and unethical. I apologized profusely to everybody at the party and the family as well. I will be putting cameras in my home that everybody will have access to as well as updating all the contracts to let parents know what is going to happen going forward. Peace of mind for everybody sounds good to me. Also, I will be making a call to CPS about the situation and see what they have to say. Thank you everybody for your kind words, Red Heart. This made my call CPS spidey senses tingle. What on earth is happening in that home that this child will not talk in front of her family? Not the asshole. Why are they so fixated on the child being nonverbal like it's some kind of badge of honor? Are they getting some kind of benefits out of it? That is a bizarre reaction for hearing your nonverbal daughter speaking. I would be elated nor mad at the messenger. I wonder why they don't want her to speak. I work with a child like this. They were diagnosed with selective mutism. Info. How do they knew that the voice was Allie if she doesn't say anything around her family and somehow you recorded some voice with no face and say, "He. That's Allie's voice by the way." I wouldn't believe it and would think that you tried to mock them. Also, don't you think there might be an issue in the family if they believe so strong that Allie is nonverbal while she is saying words and even full sentences around you? Sounds like she is ate or neglected at home and no one is around to hear her. Or worse, she is kept from speaking at home because of some childhood trauma. Not the asshole. The person I was talking to was her sister and she started yelling at me saying, "She is nonverbal, why are you lying?" I wish these adults were nonverbal. Am I the asshole for snapping when someone rubbed my belly and implied I might be pregnant? So today, my office building was throwing a little fiesta-themed event and they offered free lunch in the cafeteria. A bunch of us went down to grab food. While I was standing in line, I opened the Nest camera app to check on something and saw a little bird that's been showing up outside every day. I laughed and casually said to no one in particular, "This bird comes to visit me every day." Right after I said that, a coworker, who has made pregnancy comments toward me before, came up, rubbed my belly without asking, and said something like, "Maybe it's because you've got a baby bird on the way." I felt this immediate wave of rage. Like, why are we still doing this in 2025? So I said, "Don't be wishing that kind of bad luck on me." She looked super taken aback, and my boss, who overheard, also looked at me like I'd just said something offensive. It felt like I was the crazy one for being upset. But I didn't ask to be touched. I'm not pregnant, and I really don't like people making those kinds of comments about my body. Now I'm wondering, am I the asshole for reacting the way I did? Edit. I am not overweight, which only makes it weirder cause I do not look pregnant. Not the asshole. Why is she so obsessed with the idea of you being pregnant? She needs therapy. Start recording every encounter with this crazy ass and bring it to HR. Not the asshole, and you need to put a stop to this as soon as possible. If you haven't already told this person to stop their behavior, both spoken and physical, do so in a calm, clear manner. If they continue, it's time to bring management, HR into the picture. If you think it necessary, you can ask your boss to present when you tell the person to stop their behavior, so that there are no questions later about how you handled the matter. Not the asshole. Don't touch people's bodies. Don't comment about people's bodies. These are good life rules and imperative office rules. I'd be chatting with HR immediately if I were you. Not the asshole. I hate it when people touch other people without permission or assume pregnancy. My petty self would have started crying and loudly talking about my infertility issues. Not the asshole, and your boss was probably mortified that she touched you. You should report her to HR since she touched you without your consent and made you feel uncomfortable. INTA. 1. Passive-aggressive fat shaming. 2. Sexual harassment. 3. Assault. 4. Creepy touching. Am I the asshole for snapping at my mom after she tried to force me to learn sign language? My 13M mom, 35F, has been dating with her now fiancé, 38M, let's call him Jeremy, for 2 years. 5 months ago he proposed her and they got engaged, and moved in together, and now they're planning their wedding. I am cool with this. I really like Jeremy. They were friends before they started dating, so I met and got close to him before he started dating my mom. I think he's really cool and I am happy for my mom. My issue is with his annoying and arrogant son. He is only 2 years older than me but acts like he's too cool to hang out with me. He treats me like a little kid, but there's only 2 years between us. I will call him Dean. Dean is deaf and has to use a device, it's called cochlear implants, to hear. But he can't wear his device all the time because apparently hearing can be exhausting for him. TBH, I think this is an excuse he uses to avoid hanging out with us. But that's what he claims. Anyway, he and Jeremy both know sign language but my mom and I don't. My mom has started learning after she got engaged with Jeremy and she's pressuring me to learn too, but I'm refusing because I don't want to spend my time learning a whole language for him when he clearly doesn't even like me. My mom says I am being disrespectful because we now basically live semi-together. He comes to stay with Jeremy on the weekends. I live with my mom full-time. So unfortunately I have to stay with Dean on weekends. 2 days ago my mom, in front of Jeremy by the way, started telling me about this great ASL tutor she found online and how she's thinking sign me up for her classes. I lost my temper, yelled and told her I don't want to and just stop f***ing pressuring me. I was told to go to my room for yelling at her, and was grounded for a day for using that word. I know I shouldn't have used that word, but am I the asshole? You need to start including your reasons in your refusal. How can she understand when you haven't explained? I'm not willing to invest a huge amount of time and effort into a person who has made it clear they think I'm beneath them. Why would I sacrifice all that time for someone who is rude to me? That's a huge sacrifice of my time and effort you are asking me to make, and what does Dean have to do to make this a happy step family? Oh, nothing. He can continue to treat me like I'm nothing. So no, I won't make a sacrifice for someone who is rude to me. To be clear though, I think you should do it. The consequences long term of all your important relationships is not worth it. You are the asshole. It's not an excuse. People who were born deaf, as I assume Dean was, can very easily get overwhelmed and exhausted while using cochlear implants. Hell, even some people who are born hearing get overwhelmed by sounds. I'd recommend doing some research into auditory fatigue. It can help you understand how I suspect Dean feels when he uses his cochlear implants for a prolonged period of time. Because of the situation, I get why you are upset. Blended families are difficult, but judging based on what you told us and if you were in awe because of how you reacted, You're the asshole, and you should apologize to your mom. She hasn't forced you to do anything yet. There is a chance Dean doesn't like you because you refuse to try to communicate to him. You are also 13. Correct me if I am wrong, but many schools require you to learn a language anyway or offer electives. ASL counts. Even if you don't like Dean, I would recommend learning ASL anyway. It is only a benefit in the future, and if you are going to be step-siblings, you might as well learn a little ASL. Not the asshole you didn't ask for an enforced brother. Be prepared to be left out of conversations though. They have offered you classes. It could be a very handy skill later in life long after this difficulty is forgotten. Talk to your mother about your resentment and his dismissive behavior to you. Maybe there can be a deal where if you learn some sign, he behaves better towards you. Another thing to remember is that this situation has been forced on him as well. Good luck. Why are 13-year-olds allowed on Reddit? Nah, I think the problem here is that your mom wants to force you to spend time and effort learning a whole language for someone you don't like, that doesn't want to talk to you, that you roughly see half the time. Like no teen is going to willingly do that. Maybe that's the conversation you have with her, mentioning what's above. Am I the asshole for publicly shaming 2 elderly neighbors and filing a lawsuit against them? So, I am 30s, live in a mid-sized apartment building with a pretty standard setup. There's a building council that oversees maintenance, budget, admin stuff, etc. Everything went relatively smooth until 2 elderly neighbors, let's call them Mike and Maud, both in their 60s-70s, decided to make the building their personal chessboard. Mike and Maud got themselves voted onto the council this year, but not exactly by the book. They took over the annual assembly as president and secretary of the session, despite not being neutral parties, changed the voting rules mid-meeting, and ignored every objection that didn't suit them. The official minutes that came out later? Full of omissions and lies, including a claim that the vote for the council, which they now sat on, was unanimous. Spoiler: it wasn't. I was the only one actually voted in through real consensus. Since then, they've overstepped their role over and over, publishing official documents before they were even registered with local authorities, acting on behalf of the building without authorization, and most recently trying to get me to sign off on a contract, as a council, without even involving the building's administrator. That's illegal where we live. Earlier this year, Mike made a completely false claim that the community could be subject to asset seizures due to a pending labor lawsuit. Again, not how the law works. I'm fairly certain that was meant to scare everyone into letting them settle things without review or transparency. I tried to handle things quietly. I've been patient. I've offered peaceful ways out. But now, I've filed a lawsuit to challenge the legitimacy of the assembly minutes and their actions. I'm also preparing a full public report to the community, detailing everything, and yeah, it names names. I've been told I'm being petty or cruel, that they're elderly and maybe they didn't mean harm. But at some point, not meaning harm still leads to serious consequences. They've lied, manipulated, and acted like they were above oversight. The community deserves the full truth. Am I the asshole for going full transparency mode and dragging them publicly and legally after trying to keep things civil for months? Too long did not read. 2 elderly neighbors hijacked the building council through sketchy means, lied in the official records, overstepped their legal authority multiple times, and spread misinformation. After months of trying to handle it quietly, I filed a lawsuit and went public with the receipts. Now some say I'm being mean to old folks. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This isn't about being mean to elderly folks, it's about protecting your entire building community from serious legal and financial risks. They deliberately twisted rules, falsified official records, and spread bullshit misinformation. You tried peaceful solutions first and documented everything. Someone has to stand firm when community trust gets trampled like this. Not the asshole. I used to work property management, and the reason people hate condo associations and HOAs is because of people like this. Retirees that don't follow the rules, law, and just treat the association as their own little kingdom and do as they please. You're doing everything right. They need to be held accountable, and bullies should not be rewarded for their bad behavior. Not the asshole. Sounds like you would have done the exact same thing if they were 35 or 75. Age is irrelevant. They were asshole and deserve the legal repercussions. Please update us when it gets resolved though. I'm definitely invested. Not the asshole. They do mean harm, and are doing it. Being elderly doesn't give you a pass for being corrupt. The fact that you're asking this has me super confused. If you've tried civility and they're still doing the same illegal and immoral shit, you'd be the a-hole for not dragging them down. Good luck, and I hope you bankrupt them. Not the asshole. They went to dubious means to manipulate a body that's meant to be for the benefit of everyone living there, not just those who saw a way to bend the rules for individual benefit. They undercut the integrity of this body, and people deserve transparency.